That would be amazing. That would be fantastic. But yeah, so pop in the chat. What are you hoping to get out of tonight? Sleep deprivation during this natural change can be really unrelenting. And I'll be able to share some things with you tonight about how to get that under control. Let's make a start. So thank you so much for being on. I really value people's time, and I really hope you get a lot out of this evening. That is my goal, to share what I know as a woman, as someone who's actually been through menopause, as a professional in the space. And I talk about this conversation every day as a professional. So I want to share with you the things I know that work, the things that are going to be a waste of time for you, and really how to shorten your time through menopause. There's a lot of scary dialogue around about it at the moment, like it's going to take 5 to 10 years. You better hang on. And a lot of stuff popping up that's not necessarily true. So I want to share with you what I know, and hopefully empower you to make decisions around this so you can go through it seamlessly and quickly. So tonight we're going to unpack how do you know you're in menopause? Some treatment options. I'm going to cover some foods that will help you balance hormonally, because I'll explain why that's really key. Some exercises that you can do, some ones that I want you to stop. If you're going through menopause and you've got symptoms, there are some things you really should not be doing. And I'm going to talk a lot about the mindset, because I find, particularly, I run a natural medicine clinic, that a lot of people are broken. By the time that they've had a couple of weeks of not sleeping, they're flushing, they're desperate, and they've heard these horror stories that can go on for years. It's super important that we change that mindset. At the end, I'm going to share my number one secret for passing through menopause quickly. So who am I? Some of you won't know me. Why should you listen to me? Which is a very good question. So I started my career in nursing back in 1987. That was at the Royal Hobart. And I trained as a nurse, qualified in coronary care, emergency nursing, and thoroughly loved my time as a nurse. I've always, I think nursing is a calling. Being at patient bedside, being an advocate for patients is something I'm very passionate about. But I did burn out probably around 1994 or 5, went overseas, came back, actually it was before then, and I joined pharmaceuticals. So in that role as a drug rep, which is the short and colloquial name for it, I used to do incredible things. Used to travel the world, going to medical conferences, bringing back the latest drug. My key customers were doctors, in hospitals and specialists, but I also was so close to the end consumer, because that's why I was doing it. I wanted to enhance people's lives. So part of that journey was learning a lot about pharmaceuticals, understanding their role. And for the last 22 years now, so in 2002, I have had natural medicine and coaching business based on the Gold Coast. But I would say at the moment, 95% of my clients are rural, interstate, and some are overseas. And that's the beauty of being able to use Zoom, is that it doesn't matter of the demographic or the location. People can access advice now, which is a big step from where it was 20 years ago. Now, along the way, my real intro into hormones happened in about 2004, 2005. And I talk about that more in other conversations. I won't go into it tonight, but I had a bit of a hormone meltdown. I had 2 little children, running businesses, staff, and spiked my male hormone, testosterone. I had one of those rah moments where everyone takes cover. And I realized I had a problem with anger. Well, it spiked one night at a dinner party. And that was my real entourage into hormones. So I wrote this book on the left. It was called Beauty and the Beast Within. And then I was told I was going to be on Oprah. At this stage, I was 30. I might have been 35, 36. But when I was told I was going to be on Oprah, I thought, oh my gosh, I better write a book about menopause. And I was doing a lot of seminars for GPs at that stage. So I knew a little bit about menopause, but I certainly hadn't been through menopause. Now, this book on the left, bestseller. The one on the right, also a bestseller. Now, I went through menopause in 6 weeks, so I know I can actually vouch as being a woman that the stuff I have discovered and talk about works from firsthand, but also I've had a clinic for 20 years and lots of women coming to me, and we sort it out pretty quick what's missing, and we fill in the gaps, and on they get on with life. On the left, I do a lot of work with women globally, very passionate about women in Indigenous lands. Now, that top picture is in Nepal, and that was a baby that was about an hour old. It's amazing over there. They pop babies out. Those are my children now, down in the bottom left, my 3 kids. And these are some of the books that I've written, and they're all published. I have been on TV numerous times as the go-to person for hormones. And my narrative, I guess, around the power of harnessing what we've got in our homes, food, our mindset, exercise, and how it can help sway and bring our hormones back into balance. So, women haven't just got to 2024 and become broken and suddenly need drugs. We've managed for millennia without drugs. So there's things that we're doing today in 2024 that are making a massive impact on our body in a not so good way. Don't know if anyone can relate to that, but please put in the chat if I say anything that you go, oh my goodness, yes, please use the chat, because it's others will be thinking it and feeling it too. Now, I'm not too sure. I'm going to use some terminology on here. And I think it's important as women, we do understand what's going on in our body. Now, this is just to make, if anyone on here is confused about menopause, welcome to the club. I was 47, and I remember that's when I went through menopause. But at the time, I've been doing this, at this stage, I've been talking about menopause for probably 15 years or so. And it was my core business. I have women coming in with menopause all the time. But I suddenly started waking, and I was having these flushes, and I really thought I had a virus. I went, oh my goodness, I traveled to Bali a lot, and I thought, you picked up malaria. Here we go. You've got a virus, girl. But then on about the 6th night, I was lying there flushing and sweating, and I went, oh my goodness, I haven't had a period. And then I went, I was really confused. I thought, surely at 47, I'm too young. I was quite shocked, to be honest. And, I used to have very horrible periods, and I was like, oh, this can't be what it's about. But then I started going, right, well, you haven't had a period. My skin was itchy and dry. I was having these nighttime flushes. I don't know if anyone on here, please do put an answer to this one in the chat. Has anyone on here got those shin aches? So that's the pain on the front of your calf. And it's like it can be a very deep burrowing pain. Just put a yes if you do experience that. Helps me also understand symptoms women are still getting. So in the chat, you can put yes, no. Hopefully people can still hear me. Just put a yes or a no in the chat if you get those shin aches. No to shin aches, no. Okay. It's like we don't talk about menopause, and when you do, it's not positive. Yes, shin aches, yes, and no, Tammy. Okay, the shin aches, no, Tracy, cool. So for those who've got the shin aches, it's like someone has got a baseball bat and just hit the front of the bone, like they hurt. It can affect hips, and it's kind of called the menopause aches. So any kind of, I guess, physical ache can be due to menopause. And weight gain, which can be really frustrating because nothing might have changed in your life. You might be eating the same, exercising the same, and next thing you find that your midriff's expanding. It's like, oh no. So anyway, I put everything together and holy dooly, I'm going through menopause. And it did catch me off guard. So there you go. But once I realized that's what was going on, and the clue for me was, oh, you haven't had a period for 3 months, then I went, right, I need to get on top of this rapidly, because I certainly was not going to take 5 to 10 years, which is the average, to go through it. That's just not my gig. So I swapped some foods around, changed my exercise, and this is a really big take home for everyone listening to this. I resolved to make my health the #1 priority in my day. Now, there's a reason why. Because if I didn't make health my number one priority, then it was going to take a lot longer to pass through menopause. And I knew that. I'd seen what had happened to people who came to me who were broken, and I had to patch them back up together. And as soon as women make health their number one priority, it changes everything in menopause. It allows them time, it allows them finances, it allows them the opportunity to make this go away quicker or to transition quicker. It also was really important because I was a single mum with 3 kids, and I knew if I wasn't at the top of my game, if I wasn't sleeping, if I was low on energy, my children were going to get less of me as a mother. And I really felt I owed it to them for them to have the best of me so I could be the best mum, so they could have the best experiences with me. And this is, I hold retreats in Bali, and how do you make health number one priority with a busy family? It's a really good question, Louise. And I hold a retreat in Bali twice a year. And this is one of the key things. It's like we're taught it's selfish, and I guess most women on here are probably going to be at a certain age. So we've grown up with this voice in our ear saying, oh, it's selfish to think of yourself. Think of others first. So to put ourselves first is a really big challenge. But instead of thinking of it as being the word selfish, think of self first. And once you start seeing it, like I now say to women, imagine giving, you want to be the best for the people around you because you love them. That's why you're putting them first. But if you're only giving them 50% of you, they're never going to see the real you. They're always getting the crumbs of you. So in order to put yourself first, which might be, okay, guys, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to empty the dishwasher anymore. I know I've said it before, but as of tomorrow, that's it. You are going to start washing your own clothes. You are going to start making your own bed. In fact, all these things are going to change because I need an hour to an hour and a half in my day to take care of myself. And when I do, you're going to get the best version of me, the happy me, the rested me, the energetic me. And they'll probably get that. They're like, okay, mum could be better, or my wife could be better. And that is how we do that. We say, right, this is just a firm no, I'm not doing this anymore, putting myself first. And the bonus is you're going to feel better and everyone around you is going to feel better as well. You're 44 with 3 young kids, 6, 7, and 9. Really important that some of these things occur, because if they don't, like leading into menopause, if you're a bit burnt out now, menopause will get worse. And I'll talk about this a bit more when I show you some examples of hormone tests. But majority of women, so I said I wouldn't, but I just did. Majority of women who have symptoms in menopause are burnt out. And that's a really big key take home for tonight. They're not broken, they're just not hormonally balanced, and they're not transitioning. So I went through menopause in 6 to 8 weeks, and I'm going to show you some of the things I know that work. So there's a lot of free advice out there. Now, some of it can be, I just think, really dangerous, to be honest, because this backyard, I mean, we do as women need to share folklore. We need to share our stories. But just because someone, I mean, I heard it tonight, actually. I caught up with some friends that I swim with. Yeah. And so she was going, oh, well, this worked for my heart palpitations. And I went, yeah, but it might not work for your daughter. Like, just because something works for you doesn't mean that it's gospel for everyone else. So just be cautious where you're getting the advice from. So I'm finding at the moment, there's a real global thing happening where health professionals, and I've worked with doctors my whole life, and I send a lot of patients to doctors now. I like collaboration. But a lot of doctors are saying to women that you're broken and that you need HRT. And that's just not true. We haven't got to 2024 and everyone's just become broken. It's because of what we're doing in 2024 that we weren't doing, say, 50 years ago, that is making us not transition. We don't need HRT necessarily. We just need to change our lifestyle. Really cautious of Instagram, models, TikTok, and all the free advice out there. And if they're very clever at rolling a camera or they look great in front of a camera, we suddenly get sucked into this, well, they must know their stuff. But are they qualified? Have they been through menopause? Have they had a child? Do they actually know what it's like to juggle 3 kids and work? Possibly not. And I also, hang on, I'll try and keep up with the chit chats. Some of you, yes, yeah. I'm 53, the 21 and 17-year-old hubby expect everything to be done for them. Well, we might need to change that, Louise. My doctor said it's useless. It said it unless it's causing issues, no need to treat. Yeah, well, even then, do we need to treat it? Menopause isn't a disease. It's not it's just a hormone, and it's a hormone transition. And if women are getting symptoms through menopause, it just means the hormones aren't balanced. But it certainly doesn't need treating, and it's certainly not a disease. But this is the language that's being used out there. So women are confused, they're broken, they're racing out for HRT because that's the medical megaphone at the moment. But it's not necessarily, well, it's definitely not the only way. It's not necessarily the safest way. And I don't know, a bit of the feminist in me says as well, I don't want to take information from a male doctor who's trained in drugs, who's never had a period or a flush, to tell me I need a pill, because I know my body better than that. I know my body when it's rested, well fed, and I'm tending to those needs, that it's in sync, it's fine. So that's kind of my mission, is to empower women globally to understand they're not broken. Now, the couple of false beliefs. Now, if just because your mum didn't have symptoms doesn't mean that you'll be okay. We're living in a different time, and it might have only been 20, 30 years ago, but a lot has changed. If you think about now all the chemicals in foods, or the coffee lattes we're having now that we weren't having, the coffee cultures are really, the last 10 years. A lot of women weren't trying to start up businesses after hours back then. So just because mum was okay doesn't mean that you will be okay, and vice versa. I'm not making hormones so I need HRT. Absolute myth. You can't control symptoms, you just have to go with it. Everyone is different. Now, you can control symptoms. You don't have to just be dragged along with your foot in a stirrup and pray that the next 5 to 10 years are going to leave you relatively unscathed. There is a lot you can do. Louise has got here, HRT scares me with the threat that they can cause cancer. 100%. And look, back in, I was still a drug rep when the WHI study came out, which was the World Health Initiative, Women's Health Initiative, the massive study that came out and demonstrated that without a shadow of a doubt, it looked at about 20,000 women, and HRT compared to placebo definitely caused an increase in some cancers. I think my preference would be to encourage everyone to give natural a crack. The female body is just so perfect by design, and we were designed to go through it. It's not a disease that you've caught. Your body was going to go through it at a certain point. And, as I said, the average is 45 to 55. I went through it at 47. Someone else might not go through it till they're 55. So that means they're having periods. I want you to understand you're not broken. If you've got symptoms, your hormones aren't balanced, that's all. So what's happening is your body's trying to make this natural transition. It's trying to balance the hormones and particularly the sex hormones that used to be made by the egg. That was, you're born with a certain amount of eggs in your ovaries. When all those eggs are used up, we then rely on other parts of our body to produce those sex hormones. So we're perfectly designed to do this transition, but if those glands that would not make those sex hormones, i.e. your adrenals, are busy churning out stress hormones, they won't have the capacity to make sex hormones. And that's why women get symptoms. Now, when you're hormonal or out of, you're experiencing hormone shifts and you're not balanced, you'll be experiencing symptoms. And some of the classic ones, there's actually 33 classic symptoms of menopause, which is a whopping amount. And I usually say to people, look, if you're over the age of 40 and you've got something that's changed physically for you, or even mentally, you're feeling more anxious or depressed, assume it's your hormones until proven otherwise. Saliva testing is the best way And I'll talk about that more rather than blood testing, because blood testing will often miss the clues because of the way hormones bind in our bloodstream. But, if you're flushing, if you've got broken sleep, the broken sleep's horrendous because you'll be nice and soundly asleep and then suddenly, you're wide awake. And it's like, oh my God, it's 11:30. And it's very difficult to go back to sleep when your hormones are out. So any symptoms, the dry skin, the shin aches, the low sex drive, the low energy, the memory loss, means that your hormones are likely not balanced. So just a little bit of biology. You can see there our ovaries, they're like little sacs that hold the eggs. They're about the size of your thumbnail while the eggs are there, but then during menopause they shrink and they become like your little fingernail. So they shrink quite significantly. But the eggs are hatched each month, each ovary takes it in turn. And then round about, this is why it's an average, 45 to 55, but some women might hit that turning point at 40. Some might not hit it till 48 or 58. When all those eggs are hatched, then we rely on our adrenal system making the sex hormones, which the predominant ones which you may have heard of are estrogen and progesterone. Now, have people heard of the adrenal glands? Just say yes in the chat. Have you heard of the role of the adrenal glands? Yep. Cool. Good. So our adrenal glands, there's two of them. Excuse me. They sit, if you put your hands behind your back and just find your rib cage and just roll your fingers down under the rib cage, you're probably touching your adrenals. They sit at the back there on top of our kidneys, and honestly, they're powerhouses. They produce so many hormones. They're amazing. They produce cortisol, which is one of our stress hormones. They produce a blood pressure one, aldosterone. They produce epinephrine and epinephrine's adrenaline, noradrenaline, which play a massive role in our stress response. Somatostatin, substance P, they're just incredible. I have, just give them a little thank you when you've got your hands down there. Just go, thank you, adrenals, because honestly, they're amazing. They flick in, flick out, flick in, flick out. They're continually keeping us alive because the epinephrine, norepinephrine pathway, or the adrenaline pathway, is critical for our blood pressure, our heart rate, staying alive, and it flicks in and flicks off. When all the eggs are hatched from those ovaries that I was talking about before, what happens is the adrenal glands take over producing our sex hormones. So if we're burnt out, or if the adrenal glands are making all these stress hormones over here, the epinephrine, norepinephrine, or adrenaline, noradrenaline, or cortisol, guess what? It just does not have the capacity to make our progesterone or estrogen, and sometimes testosterone. And I'll show you what that looks like on a saliva test in a minute. Now, how can you diagnose menopause? I've been using saliva testing for years. A good, 2024? Probably since about 2008, because I read so much information about saliva testing, and I was getting lots of patients with blood tests that were just not giving me answers. And then I'd do saliva testing, which isn't covered by Medicare, and I'd go, oh, here we go. Here's some real clues to what's happening in your body. And the saliva test changed the way I did practice, and it changed, I get great results because saliva testing is key. Now, if you do want to do a blood test, I would suggest not doing it for hormones, but you could do it for follicle stimulating hormone, which is called FSH. Now, it's a hormone that goes from the pituitary down to the ovaries to get an egg hatched. When the ovary is not responding and the egg's not being hatched, there's no biofeedback saying, yep, egg is hatched. What happens is FSH goes up. So that is reliable on blood. But the other hormones, estrogen, progesterone, really inaccurate on blood testing. And, I guess in the year 2000, 2001 was when I was still working very closely with doctors and GPs. And the narrative then was, well, we don't test your blood test for hormones because it's a waste of time, because it's not, you just don't pick up the information. And in 2024, nothing has changed. It's still a waste of time. So you have to do saliva test to pick up accurate levels of estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, cortisol. You can do urines for cortisol. I just throw it in with the saliva test. Any age around 45, 55, any change, as I was saying before, kind of a clue you're going through menopause. Some people get caught up on, I'll come back to that in a minute, Louise. Some people get caught up on the terminology like pre-menopause, perimenopause, postmenopause. I'll just solve that one pretty quickly. Pre-menopause, before you're going through menopause. Menopause is technically 12 months since your last period. Sometimes, maybe in about 25% of women, they might not have a period for 12 months and then they'll flick one off. But they still would be considered menopausal, like postmenopausal. So menopause is the shifting time through it. Pre, before you get there. Peri, during menopause. So you might be having periods to a month and then not for 3 months. Might be flushing, you're perimenopausal. No period for 12 months. And having symptoms, we'd say you had postmenopausal symptoms. Does that make sense? Now, FSH testing wouldn't suit someone who's had a hysterectomy. Excuse me. Depends if you've got ovaries or not. So hysterectomy is when they take the uterus out. Sometimes they'll keep fallopian tubes, sometimes they take ovaries out, so it just depends. Well, then FSH would definitely still indicate if you're going through menopause or not. And that's a bit of a mystery when you've had either chemically induced menopause, which is from chemotherapies, or surgical induced menopause from trauma, or, a lot of doctors will go, oh, well, let's just whip your uterus out, and they'll leave the ovaries because they do produce, they'll still keep producing those sex hormones, which have an impact of your whole body, not just the uterus. And that's really why we get, during menopause, we get these psychological changes because the drop in progesterone, oh my goodness, it's awful because progesterone is so calming. So let's have a look at some results. This is a saliva test just to give you an idea of what one would look like. Now, as I said, I always measure cortisol because it gives me a good indication of what's happening at the adrenal level. You can see there the progesterone's only 175. It should be 800. So, when it's down 175, they're probably flushing, feeling awful because progesterone calms us down. So they've got very low progesterone. It makes us go around in circles. When it's low, it dries our skin out. It dries our vagina out. Like, progesterone is such a beautiful hormone, and it's very commonly, but women commonly drop it during menopause. Interesting, this person's testosterone is quite high, 167. So no doubt they're probably struggling with weight. And their estrogen was a little bit high compared to their progesterone, which is something I want to know, because at the other side of menopause, we know that women have greater increase in breast cancer. And it'll often show up in one of these saliva tests in the 40s and 50s that they're not balanced. Okay, so these are things I hear every day from clients. I wake up, I'm exhausted. Well, this is as they come to me, not once I've worked with them. I don't sleep, it's covers on, it's covers off. My poor husband's just hanging in there, belly fat. Wish I could fit. I hear this a lot. Wish I could just fit into my wedding dress again. A lot of people become very self-conscious about going into swimwear. The weight, as I said, can be really punishing. And you feel like this. And I've covered most of these off. I'll just see if there's, as I said, there's 33 different symptoms that are considered classic symptoms. So I'm just going to say, no, it's too late to join, sorry. Even a re-emergence of acne, sometimes a body odor, low sex drive, this irregular period thing. Honestly, on the other side, when you don't have periods anymore, it's like, whoo-hoo, it's so good. Mood swings, headaches can come on when the person hasn't had headaches for ever. So they can all be symptoms that your body is not balanced. Now, I want to go into some of the other common hormones imbalances that I see. Excuse me. So estrogen. Has everyone heard of estrogen? It's cool. It's our main female hormone. And men produce it as well, but for us, it kicks in around the time of puberty, and it's the hormone that's responsible for our boobies, pubic hair, arm hair, our hips widen out, and it's really the thing that kickstarts our period cycle. So it's a very feminine hormone. But interesting, more of the stuff is not good. There's a nice little sweet spot for it. Too much of it, I call it Bridget Jones hormone. Too much, and we become like Bridget Jones. We over-text people. Like I know when people text me like a long, those scrolls of text, I go, possibly have an estrogen problem. Headaches, self-doubt, depression, OCD-like behaviors, weight that won't shift, mood swings. I've got the tissues there. That's when you're going, this is great, this movie. Next thing you're crying. Acne, weight gain, flushes often will have high estrogen as the cause. Now you can see why I'm very adamant that saliva testing is a must, because guess what? If you've got low estrogen, you'll also flush. You'll get the broken sleep, dry vagina, low moods, high anxiety. Now, if you get this bit wrong, and this is often, I've heard of this multiple times since I've been doing or consulting women. So there's this myth that every woman going through menopause has got no estrogen, that they've suddenly just stopped producing estrogen because the eggs have stopped, so therefore estrogen's dropped. Now, my experience in saliva testing is that probably about 40% have very high estrogen, and the flushes are due to their high estrogen. Maybe 30% have low estrogen, and the other 20 to 30% are in the middle. They're bang on normal. So getting that bit wrong is diabolical, because if you've got high estrogen, like on this saliva test, and you go to, I don't know, a clinic somewhere who don't really know you, and they say, oh, right, we better give you some HRT, here's some estrogen. Guess what? You're going to inflame the situation. These are the women who go on HRT or bioidenticals, and they get weight gain, they feel depressed, so they end up going back there, so they get antidepressants. Then they still can't sleep, so they get sleepers. Then they just start, going beside themselves, so they get weight loss things, Suprexa and other things like this as well. So it's super important that we get this bit right. This person, you can see on their test as well, look at their cortisol, so that they're stressed and their body's not going to be able to transition. Thanks, Brahman. Now, testosterone. So testosterone, that was the book I showed you before, The Beauty and the Beast Within. That was when I realized I'd pushed my testosterone up. Now, that's a chat for another day. That's what leads to polycystic ovary syndrome, which is my kind of pet topic. I love it, very passionate about it. But interesting, during menopause, testosterone often drops. Now, when testosterone drops, we get low energy, sex drive just goes out the window. And for a lot of women who are busy with kids, sex drive is struggling to, stay up anyway, let alone when your testosterone drops away. Well, it just goes. You lose testosterone's like this little competitive hormone too. So you lose all that. You just don't care. And you will not make muscle mass. So you can see where this is going when it comes to exercise. And I'll talk about it more, but I really don't think dragging tires and putting women through boot camps when they've got symptoms of menopause is the smartest thing. They're not making testosterone. You're just going to keep them in stationary low drive. That they just will not transition, because that's the wrong exercise for them. So testosterone, we need the stuff. It's considered a male hormone, very high in guys, but we also need to produce it as well. Now, this is an example here of a lady, this is only a couple of weeks ago, whose testosterone was only 40. And look at their progesterone. Interesting, still a bit of sex drive, but no energy, no real, I guess what's the word, like that competitive edge was just gone in this woman. And you can see the DHEA is quite low as well. So their capacity, they're quite burnt out. Their capacity to produce hormones was very low. Burnt out picture, this one. Progesterone commonly drops. Now it's been, I don't know, it's been interesting months. May, I've actually had quite a few women with normal progesterone levels, and I nearly just go, oh, I felt like calling the lab and going, is this right? But I have. They've had other issues with their hormones, but their progesterone levels have been good. So that's encouraging to know that women can have good progesterone levels during menopause, because typically it drops. They end up with flushes, low sex drive, dry skin, and yeah, it calms us down. So if we drop our progesterone, we'll often end up a bit flat emotionally. And look at that, cortisol, it's off the page. And actually, this person, I remember who it was now, they weren't even registering that they were stressed. They just go, no, I'm just busy. And so I've learned a lot about women and how the language we use and how we deem what's normal and what's superwoman stuff. No, I'm fine, I'm coping. It's like, are you really? Because the collateral, your cortisol's super high, and maybe that's got something to do with the belly fat and the reason you can't switch off at night because it's way too high. But anyway, the good news is once you balance your hormones, your temperature control does restore to normal. You do sleep through the night. You can feel sexy again. You can feel good in your own skin, and you can have energy and feel happy. So that is, it's very, very doable. Let's talk about your treatment options. I've already touched on HRT, and it is there as an option. For me, the negatives of HRT, as I've said before, it kind of bypasses it's disempowering, because it's like, well, I must be broken. I need to take a drug. What a load of nonsense. You're not broken. You're just not hormonally balanced. And while you're taking an external hormone, your body thinks it's producing it. So it never, ever is prompted to make it itself. Even if it could make it, it doesn't need to, because you're giving it externally. Now, the problem is you could overshoot the mark, so you get too much of a hormone, and we've already kind of touched on high estrogen, how that can be diabolical for a woman. So, women who come to me with breast cancer, ovarian cancer, uterine cancer, cervical cancer, high estrogen most of the time. So we don't want that at all. So HRT is a drug. It does come with side effects, and it needs to be monitored. Bioidentical hormones are considered to be more like the body, so more biologically similar to the human body, but they're not. And once again, I don't know. Look, when I first started, I used to work with a doctor, and we had a lot of hormonal treatments that she used to do, and I'd do the natural side of it. And I thought it was okay, but now I'm kind of a bit iffy on it too. I just think give your body the opportunity through herbals, lifestyle, foods. Just do it like I did in 6 weeks, and then you're done with it. Like you don't need to spend hundreds of dollars on bioidentical hormones, because you're still not addressing the problem. But I understand why women do it. I totally do. I'll just show you some ladies who have come to see me. So this is Marie. Marie's a superstar. So she saw me speak in Brisbane at a fashion thing, came and saw me, and that's her on the left, that's her on the right, 6 weeks later. This is the power of balancing your hormones. She was eating and all the rest of it, but these are her words. I knew my body was in a mess, and menopause had got a hold of me in a not so nice way. My weight was a great burden for me in a way that was holding me back from performing to my full potential. Business, family, and life were a struggle. I knew my body was not how it should be functioning, and understood that menopause and symptoms I had were the most contributing factors to me not feeling well, being overweight, and at times over it, all she wanted to do was sleep. She actually wasn't going out very often because she was just so flat on herself. I didn't want to exercise. I had no energy. Days of lying on the lounge, wondering when it would all end, seeing my friends and partner look at me differently and reading their eyes and telling me, you just look horrible. So she said, I knew something had to be done, and she found me. So within a few consultations, we addressed exactly what was going on. She lost weight. As I said, that was her after 6 weeks. She dropped 8 kilos. And that was just from a couple of food changes that we did. She had a fair bit of back pain, and I worked on a couple of things with her. It wasn't a lot, but she just transformed, because she did what I suggested, and within a couple of weeks she was back on track. So today, and I still hear from her from time to time, I'm a very happy, energetic woman, loving life, and love reading the new eyes that look at me now. And she's just beautiful. So let's talk about some foods. Someone's just asked, do you have to keep up with the herbs once you pass through menopause? Generally not. If you can replenish those hormones through herbals, then you probably don't need them. Symptoms re-emerge, then maybe you do. Now, can you just use I can't go to, can you just put in the chat, please, if you've got a question, because I'm keeping everyone muted, if that's all right. So, foods to eat during menopause. When you're eating right, you won't have bloating, your belly will feel flat, your liver and your bowel will be doing what they should be doing, which is detoxifying all the buildup and things like that. Your metabolism should be fine and energy levels should feel good. Now, that's when you're eating right. I'm a massive foodie. I believe that it's a pillar of, it's one of those things, it's a foundation that you can't shortcut it. I don't care how many 16, 20 tablets people want to take instead of eating food. Nothing will ever replace food to your body. Now, I would recommend during menopause that you reduce and bring down those cloggy foods. So all those things like risottos and pastas, it actually gives your body a lot of carbohydrate. Unless you're an elite athlete, you don't need it. And it will confuse your metabolism during this time. Now, interesting, I'm a bit of a carnivore, but during menopause, I almost went vegetarian. And I've seen this work very well for other women. So reducing things like pork and roast, because they also take a lot of energy in the digestive system to metabolize. So if you have a very strong plant-based diet and maybe some things like fish or plant proteins, it's going to help your body transition. Remember, I want my patients to go through this in 6 weeks like I did. And that's what I pitch for. So we make these changes up front, makes a big difference. Decreasing sugars. Excuse me. Sorry, there's no way knowing these little macaroons on the left are healthy. And I don't know why. People think, oh, one won't matter. Just had 2 tablespoons of sugar. Of course it matters. Decrease dairy. Dairy can promote estrogen. And I don't want to talk too much about dairy tonight, but there's no great benefit from having dairy. You can get calcium from all your other foods, your nuts, your seeds, your meats, your green leafy veggies. So there's no real benefit from having dairy. Massive fan of you shopping at your markets. And when you're at markets, everything's all rainbowed and coloured and crisp, and you tend to, you improve your eating by shopping at a farmer's market by about 25%. Now you can try juicing, dry herbal teas, you can make big salads, and please, where possible, buy organic. I was talking to someone today about how much cheaper it is to buy at markets and organic compared to supermarkets now. People say, oh, it's so expensive buying organic. No, it's not. It's actually much cheaper now, and you have to go to farmers markets to do that. So your meals might look something like this. I've got these eating plans that go for 8 weeks to help women through menopause. Chickpea patties, nice little salad, and that's, lunch. This is a great recipe. Excuse me, got a little tickle. Now, I do this, offer this test in my clinic. It's hair test. So based on your hair sample, we can tell over the last 3 months what nutrients your body might be low in or what it's struggling with. There's the one on the left. So it's a 34-page report based on your hair sample. You post it in, the test gets done. But you can see there the one on the left. It says this person's adrenal system needs attention, their hormone system, their emotions. There's some foods there that suggest that they avoid, and that gives them some, they're low on iron. Well, that's really important information, because if you haven't got enough iron on board, you are going to feel fatigued. And then it gives lists of foods that you can increase in your diet to get those nutrients. There's just antioxidants. I did a couple of these today with clients actually, and it's always fascinating to see what people are lacking, and we try and do it through food. So if you can get the foods correct, and the hair test is a good indicator of what you are missing, then you are going to feel much better. Sharnad is an exercise physiologist I've known for years. I've been supporting women going through menopause as an EP for years, and I realised that I really believed that I'd sail through it when the time came, given she was very fit and healthy. How wrong could a girl be? Very quickly, I became a sleep-deprived, sweaty, teary, exhausted mess, and I felt I'd lost control of my mental and physical health for the first time in my life. Some of you may relate to this. The work I did with Sam helped me gradually shift my health back from this bleak feeling of burnout with help of supplements. And so I'll use supplements short term just to get someone a little bit more energy or back to where they're able to address the lifestyle stuff. So look, most women are burnt out. I feel grateful to be sitting here today, regain my life force. Thanks, Sam. So let's look at exercise. It's important we get these exercises correct. So if you prioritize exercise, you're going to have you're going to pass through menopause a lot quicker. If you meet your own needs first, same. And if you can fall in love with exercises that you enjoy, it's not going to feel like a chore. Now, Judy Ann, I saw before you've got 3 kids. I used to put my kids in an oval and I used to run around them. That's because I was a single parent. Or if they were doing things, I would, take them to their activities and then I would exercise. So you have to be creative sometimes. This dragging tire stuff has to stop if you're in menopause. It is absolutely the wrong activity to be doing. So I call these up activities. They are high impact. They involve a lot of grunting and sweating. Look, there might be some benefit for blood sugar, making muscle mass if you've got good testosterone levels, but otherwise they're just going to drain you. Not too sure I put that picture in there. I showed you this one before. Low testosterone, do not do dragging tire activities. So up activities, I would put into this bracket boxing classes, weightlifting, dragging tires, or extreme sports. If you can just stop them for a little bit, know that you can resume them. Like, remember, we're aiming to go through this in 6 weeks. Pull down on those heavy type of activities and increase the down activities. So they're your lower impact stuff. That they typically are considered cardio sort of things like walking, but they definitely help your hormones balance better than the up activities. Relaxation, restorative yoga. So you're lying there cuddling a pillow, stretching your body out. Pilates. Pilates can be stressful on the body, but you go to your own pace at Pilates. Bushwalking, swimming. So you're still active, but they're at a lower pace. Let's talk about some herbs. Let's check the time. Hope everyone's enjoying this so far. Let's talk about some herbs that might benefit you. This is a little herb thing from my garden. Flaxseed is a superfood, and particularly through menopause. It's got lots of, it's high in protein, it's got lots of omegas in it, and it's high in zinc. So flaxseed, great. If you've got diverticulitis, might be a problem. Generally, you would crush the flaxseed down. I've got flaxseed meal, which is really nutty, and I just put it on salads. Sometimes I'll just eat it off the spoon. Herbs. Now you can grow your own herbs. You can get a barrel. The one before that image there, that was one I'd bought from a mate of mine who used to put together organic herb gardens. But if you can source your own organic herbs and just have some pots where you can pick sage, thyme, coriander, parsley, rosemary, you can dry them out. Use them in your cooking. You can dry them out, use them as a tea. You can just eat them while they're still green. But growing your own herbs, I think, is what we traditionally have always done. So it's a real, it's our superpower as women to have little things like this hanging around the place. Now, in terms of supplements, I'm always really cautious giving general advice because I don't know people's individual situation. But these are the common ones that I'd use. There's a herb called, and these are herbs, Passiflora, and it's nice and calming. So if people are in overdrive and stressing, then they're just going to be leaching out their adrenals. Now, we want to stop that, and Passiflora is a great way to switch that down. Ginseng's help top up the adrenals. So, I was showing you those pictures with the low progesterone, the low testosterone. I tend to use well, it depends, either withania or a Siberian ginseng, schizandra, chase tree. And nutrient-wise, definitely based on the hair test, tyrosine, which is very good for the adrenals, magnesium, zinc, the Bs, iron. So these are common things I'd recommend, but I usually would do it after I've done the hair test. Now, Kelly, typical working mum, worked in real estate. She's from Sydney, and very, her health was amazing, to be honest, but she, like a lot of women in her 40s, she said, I want to lose weight, not only to look better, but to feel better and have more energy, be a better wife, mother, business professional. The problem was, after achieving this goal, she was still missing vitality and energy. She was eating well, she was exercising, she was practicing mindfulness and yoga, and there was still something else missing. Now, when women come to me like this, they're already, they're doing a lot of stuff incredibly well, but they need the information. So I don't mess around. I'm just like, let's just do the saliva test. Let's do your hair test. Let's work out what your body is saying it's missing. Let's give your body those missing elements, and then, off you go again. So she said, I commenced the program supplements, which I have to say turn my life around. I now know that all those unpleasant side effects of middle age, hot flushes, mood swings, insomnia, and fatigue are very fixable. My advice to any woman feeling that she deserves more physical well-being is just to put your hand up. Is that putting yourself first? Now, the successful mindset, and I've touched on this before, and strategy. You do need a strategy, and you do need a mindset, because otherwise, I've seen this, and I'm doing a talk this Friday on the Gold Coast. The last one we gave to this, it's a fashion group as well. And a lady put her hand up, she was 70, and said she still is going through menopause. And I was like, oh my God, you didn't have a strong strategy. And, this 5 to 10 year thing is just too long. It's not necessary at all. Let's go for 6 weeks. So I think it's one of the most undervalued components is how strong your mindset is to put yourself first and go, right, I'm just going to get through this quickly, safely, as soon as possible, and then get on with life. But you're going to need some strategy. So if you don't come and see me, get a professional. Don't go to an Insta model or subscribe to something on TikTok. Make sure you know the person's credentials. Do the right testing. Don't do a blood test, do a saliva test. I design programs specifically for people based on their information and where they're at. And also, health is my number one thing in life, but I can't expect everyone to swim in the ocean and flit here and there. We have to work with what you're able to do within the confines of your children and your work or what's going on for you. So little health hacks can make a massive difference. Saliva test. So measuring your hormones is a must. Make a plan and a strategy. Give yourself time to transition. And as I said, prioritizing your needs, it does include spending money. But after 5 to 10 years of not spending money, you will be wishing you had, possibly. And, prioritizing your needs to create time. So does that mean folding everyone's washing? No, maybe it means no one gets their washing folded for 2 months, or they start doing it themselves. So as soon as you start prioritizing your own needs, you're in a much better position to move through this quickly. So once again, I just want to reiterate, natural transition, it can be done very quickly. If you're run down, you're not on track, you're not eating the right foods, you're not getting enough rest, you're not giving yourself time to transition, this could go on for years. And I don't want to be a fearmonger. At the moment, Australian women are told it takes on average 5 to 10 years to go through menopause. Not patients who come to me, we try and do it in 6 to 8 weeks. Here's another example of high cortisol. You can see high estrogen, that's a problem. High estrogen, you get weight. High estrogen, breast changes, cystic fibrotic breasts, not good. So I hope you've learnt some powerful ideas, and I hope that you take on some of the suggestions that I've recommended here. I generally find there are people who, and I ask this question, some people don't have the knowledge, and tonight you'll have a lot more, or there are people who have the knowledge and don't apply it. And that's just across the board for everything, really. So if you're really serious, I've put together, I only did this today, and you won't find it on the website, but I'll just share with you something you can do if you really want to take this to the next level. That's great, Louise. Love this session. Understand menopause a lot more. Yay. But I'll show you this program I put together. And it's really, it's 4 weeks. It's for women to go through menopause quickly and safely. So it's only for tonight. I can take on 5 people, and there's 12 of you on here. Might be able to take on a couple more, but it's me working with you. Now, there's 3 parts to it. So what I've got these transformational eating plans. So there's recipes in there. A lot of people don't know what to eat anymore. They're confused. They don't trust food, and it's got what's called the Happy Female formula. So it gives you a lot of health hacks in there. We would do your testing. The hormone test, the hair test is included in this package, and you get to spend time with me. Now, you can actually go to my website and get this. You can't get the transform. Actually, you can get it all now, all of that together. And there's a lot in there. So there's menopause videos if you want to watch videos. There's the eating plans, the Happy Female formula. There's a fair bit there. So the eating plans are, maps out food. You don't have to follow it. It's only if you're not too sure what to eat. It's got the dairy-free, gluten-free, a big focus on simple foods and a lot of leftovers, because we don't want to be spending all night cooking, particularly when you run down. So they're great for busy women. They're also good for people who eat out, and they're great if you've got family. These are the recipes I used to use with my kids, and they love them. I've got a lot of hormone hacks in there as well. So they come to your inbox each week, and they're just, think about when you're eating, make sure your mind is switched off so you are not secreting stress hormones, because if you are, you're making cortisol and that'll go to belly fat. Just little things like that. And you get access to my private Facebook group where I do other little clips. No, someone's just asked if those recipes are tailored. No, but the whole idea of those eating plans is to give you protein and carb and fats. And if you know you can't have eggs and olives, you just omit them if they're eggs. The second part of it is your own saliva hormone test and your own hair sample. So it's important to work out if you're high or low in estrogen. I wish it was covered by Medicare. It's not. I think it's one of the most valuable tests a woman can know, because, guess what? We would probably decrease a lot of the female cancers if we knew what our estrogen levels were. We would definitely reduce endometriosis and probably a lot of mood disorders as well. The hair test is great because it covers those base nutrients. And we need to take the guesswork out, because once we've got these pieces of information, we can really sharpen up your strategy and go, right, this is what we're dealing with. This is what we need to do. And it gives you such a good understanding of your body. And look, validity. I can't tell you the amount of times women get these results back and go, oh my God, thank God. My husband now realizes my hormones were out. It wasn't me. And it just saves the relationship. So the hair test, we've covered before. So the third part of it is the support from me. So you get a 60-minute session with me. We go over your test results. We look at a bit of a plan and some supplement advice. Now, you can get that on the website now, but this morning I thought, what would actually help a woman go through this in 4 to 6 weeks? The snapshot, that's the snapshot that's available now, and you can still get that. So you get the eating plans, you get the tests and the consultation, the strategy. Now, it's normally $2,497, but I thought I'd do something a bit special. So I've got a masterclass special. I'm going to add in an additional 2 sessions with me. So that means you get 3 consultations with me, the planning, the eating plans, and the testing. And what it will do is we'll set up the first consult, then we'll go over your hair test, and it usually takes about 2 weeks to get the saliva test back. So that times it nicely over the 4 weeks. We've had plenty of time to get to know each other. We use Zoom, so it doesn't matter where you live. I'll start some supplements, And I keep the supplements really low. I try and get away with 2 supplements, sometimes 3, but understanding that they're going to be changed or short term, because at the end of the day, I want you to be, to me, freedom's being able to eat incredibly well, know what your body needs, and not be reliant on external stuff. But, there are times where our body's under stress and we do need them. So you get all that. So what I'm doing tonight is that program I told you about, the 2 additional sessions with me, but I'm going to do it, all of that, for the same price of just the 1 session in the program. So it's 1,997. Now you can pay it off if you want to do it that way, but I'm just going to put, if someone can just check this link in chat, just click on it, just to see that that works, because you'll see the programs are there. Now, it is not going to say 3 sessions, so you're going to need to act on this tonight, so I know that it's come from here. Otherwise, it'll just be the normal program, and you'll miss out on the 2 additional sessions. So they're bonus sessions. And I'll answer questions, so just click on there, make sure it works, and double click on there so it pops up in your browser. So when this closes, you've still got that open. And I'll answer. Thanks, Tammy. I'll answer some of these questions that you might have. Thanks, Judy Ann. So I wish I'd found you years ago and I was diagnosed with endo and Adam. Ah, yes. So you probably had the history back then of high estrogen. And an endo is, so with our uterine lining, the endometrial lining, it's responsive to progesterone levels and estrogen levels. And it's the estrogen, when that goes up from the egg, that promotes the growth of it. So endometriosis is very often high estrogen issue. And, just getting it out of your body is important. People might be producing too much of it, not clearing it out. The saliva test will help a lot and is probably a must with your history. Has anyone else got any other questions I'd like to ask while we're on here? And look, I say to people, look, it's a bit of money up front, but if you don't do this, are you going to be still flushing in 6 months' time or wondering what your saliva test is in 6 months' time? The benefit of doing this tonight is that you're going to get 3 sessions with me, that saliva test and the hair test. And even if your periods aren't changing too much, I certainly get plenty of patients who are motivated because they want to make sure that when they hit menopause, the hormones are balanced from the get-go. And there are plenty of women globally who step through menopause without any hiccups or any symptoms at all. So that's what we've got to aspire for. Tammy's asked, what is you having underlying health issues, i.e. MS, non-medication hysterectomy? Will it give correct results? Yes, it will. Excuse me, great question, Tammy. The saliva test, if someone's on HRT or taking the pill, I will talk to them before we do the saliva test because we want to know what's happening underneath all that. We don't want to measure the HRT, although, that's very insightful if it's, pushing them into dangerous category, but we'll talk beforehand. But if your MS medication shouldn't affect it at all, excuse me, and it would be very beneficial to do a hair test if you've got MS because it'll pick up just lots of proteins that you might be missing. MS, if you had a vitamin D level done, definitely should do. And Jackie said, thanks for the info tonight. Thanks, Jackie. Thanks for being on. Let me know if there's any other questions, and if there's not, then we'll wrap up. Yes, heaps of vitamin D, yay! Vitamin D test is very important. Education is key, and understanding is the first step. Yes, thank you. Thanks, ladies. Thank you all for being on. We're at the top of the hour, so thank you. I'll end it now. Please jump on that special, or if you don't want to do it, please share it with your girlfriends. Because now you've got all this information, you can share it with people just saying, oh, have you considered this? Have you heard about saliva test? You might actually be the catalyst that saves one of your girlfriends. So thank you so much for coming on tonight, and I will hopefully chat to you down the track. Okay, bye for now, everyone.